want to give a quick shout out to Three Nails real quick.
Shout out Three Nails.
Shout out Three Nails. They're a Christian clothing brand. You guys might have seen me on them. For those of you guys who came from my TikToks, you probably see me with the hat on probably the most. They're a Christian clothing brand. They have a little bit of mix between gym stuff as well as some things you can kind of wear all the time. Like this is a compression, but I feel like it's like nice to the point where I could just wear it with like some jeans, a nice calm fit, something like that. But they've been so much more than nice. They're really sick. Like I just recommend. I just want to plug that in there. I'm not affiliated with them or anything yet, but they're really awesome. They sent me a handwritten letter congratulating me on the podcast, so I wanted to mention them on the podcast. If you guys are looking for Christian clothing that's higher quality, I would say they're a little expensive, but for the quality, I would definitely say it's worth it. I mean, Hexa has seen it. He doesn't have any himself. Again, they've just sent me clothes, which is beyond like cool. I never thought I'd be in a position to receive that, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to shout them out to start this podcast. But
shout out Three Nails.
Yeah, shout out Three Nails. Heck
shout out my Lord Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Amen. God's
Wait,
good.
bro. I know. Hold up. I know. All right. I'm sorry for anyone whose ears just got blown out by that. But speaking of Jesus, Ryan Garcia won his fight. Man,
right. So,
what a night, bro. What a night.
I don't know if this is. We haven't even talked about this, so this is awesome.
We haven't. Yeah.
Besides, like our text during the fight. Heck and I are both into boxing. Do you watch UFC much or no?
No, not as much. Not as much.
So I'm big into combat sports in general, UFC, boxing, all that stuff. And for those of you guys, I guess it would have been a little over a week ago now when this podcast comes out. Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. And this man, Ryan Garcia, one, in the past has always led with Jesus. He talks about his faith. He leads with that. He always thanks God. But the lead up to this fight, dude was tweaking.
Yeah.
And
so much going
throughout
on.
the entire fight buildup, it started out like, okay, he's tripping. He's probably manic. Maybe he's not manic.
Right.
Oh, he's talking about like crazy deep stuff in Hollywood with children and all this crazy stuff.
Bohemian Grove.
Exactly. Like wild conspiracy stuff that's real, all this stuff. And near the end, everyone pretty much came to the consensus that Buddy is tweaking. He fooled everybody. I think he's still a little tweaking a little bit, but nothing like insane like he was showing.
Yeah.
He even said it. I don't know if you saw after the fight where he was like, yeah, like I'm done with that stuff. Like I was tripping.
I missed that. No, I missed that.
Yeah, there's this clip I saw today, and he said to, I guess it was a reporter who was back, and they were like, he was pretty much was like, yeah, like I put like my coaches through too much this thing. Like I'm done like tripping like that. Like I'll still have fun with it, but like not like that.
Yeah.
Essentially saying that he was he was finessing everybody, like acting like he was manic. Like the stuff he was talking about is real stuff that's going on that he believes in and he strongly talks about.
Right.
But he made it seem like he was going out drinking and stuff like that. Ryan Garcia put the hands on Devin Haney. And Devin Haney even said after, he was like, yeah, I didn't take it as serious as I should have. I thought he was like tweaking.
Man.
And I don't know if you heard this. This is the most baller move. So I'm sure you saw, but their fight was supposed to be at, I believe, 140 pounds.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a championship fight because Devin Haney had the belt. Ryan Garcia missed weight by 3 pounds, 3-point-something pounds. And I think when you miss weight, it's up to the other guy if you still want to fight. So essentially, because he missed weight, he paid Devin Haney $500,000 per pound, which would be 1.5 mil, but they're still going to fight. But Devin Haney can lose the belt, but Ryan cannot win the belt because he was overweight.
Yeah.
Right? Ryan, finessed everyone before the fight by acting absolutely bad shite crazy. He bet $2 million on himself to win the fight.
I did see that.
He won $12 million, which paid back him for making weight. He felt a lot better. Devin Haney took him a lot softer than he would have because he thought he was tripping. And also, I don't know if you saw, but he drank a beer on stage. I saw a clip of Jake Paul talking to him on FaceTime, and he was like, bro, that was sparkling water and apple juice.
Yeah.
So he really finessed everyone. He came up like 50 M's from the fight, won the fight. Now he's the face of boxing again. And I also saw a picture, I don't know if you've seen it, of him in the fight against Tank and him in the fight against... Dude, he looks like a skeleton. So this guy, I don't know if this is a guy thing or maybe just me, and I think you were the same way. I was laying in bed because all these fights are really, really late for East Coast. Like, it was like 1 o'clock, I think, when it started. And I was trying to lay in bed. Braden's asleep next to me, and I'm getting hyped, dog. I'm getting hyped because I went in and I was like, I have no idea. We said it before. You said it to me, and you were like, you root for Ryan, but you don't bet on him because that's crazy, which
just for this fight.
Just for this fight because you weren't really sure. You know, the safe bet was to not bet on him, even though if you wanted to make good money, you could have bet on him. And that man came out there and started going crazy, knocked him down, I think 3 times officially. I swear he knocked him down like 6 times.
A lot, yeah.
It was him versus the ref. I don't understand what was going on there. But I was in bed, bro, and I couldn't do it. I was so hyped watching that fight. That was probably the best boxing fight I've ever seen live, hands down. I don't know like if there was another one I watched where I got that excited. I literally got up at 1 a.m. or 1:30 a.m. and I was out here pacing, my adrenaline pumping like I was in the fight. Like, I don't know. How did you feel about that?
Well, I think my favorite part about everything was that win or lose, he gives the glory to God, to be honest. And when he lost against Tank, my favorite thing that he did is when he lost, he came in even with the song Oceans, which if you're a Christian, you have to know that song. But he came in, that was his walkout song. And even though when I heard that, I was like, oh, he's going to win. God's on his side. And he lost, and it was insane. But even though he lost, the first words that came out of his mouth was win or lose, I thank you, Jesus Christ. The glory goes to Jesus Christ. And this time around, it was no different. Win or lose, he was going to say the same thing. But obviously, winning, he really showed where his heart is at, because I feel like that's where we get tested many times. It's not necessarily as important, or it is when things don't go our way, but it's also when things are going your way, are you still looking at the person who put you there in the first place? And that was my favorite thing about just the entire thing, seeing him move the way that he does. I feel like that boldness in his faith is probably the most inspiring thing. That's why I follow him. And I love that he's just completely unashamed. Everything else is amazing. It's a spectacle. It's just really fun to watch. And like you said, I was on my toes for the entire thing. And I get really nervous for Ryan fights every single time, because I know that he talks so much about God. I always wonder, like, man, like, God, are you going to give him the victory? Is he going to lose? So I'm always just sweating. But this time around, it felt a little different. And I'm not necessarily sure how to explain it, but I feel like, if anything, his heart was tested in that loss. And are you going to just claim me? You know, are you just going to claim Jesus when things are going your way? Or are you going to claim me through your ups and through your downs? And I feel like he really showed where his heart is truly at. So as people say he's crazy, I think he is partially crazy, but more than anything, I really admire his faith, bro. I admire like how bold he is. And to me, he reminds me a lot of how people were back in the day, you know, just like very aggressive and just ready to kill, but also the people like Peter in the Bible who, yes, he might have cut off some ears or an ear, but his heart was with God. And I feel like that was really cool.
Yeah, it's very inspirational anytime someone of influence, especially of such big influence as a professional athlete, one of the premier faces of boxing, goes out there. And like you said, he gives glory to God and to Jesus through wins and losses. And, you know, I never really dove that deep into it like you just said, but before his loss to Tank and after his loss to Tank, while he was going quote unquote crazy before this and after, he still gave glory to God. He came out to, I don't know how much I know about this one. Kanye's very, very crazy.
Yeah.
And he talks about God sometimes, but then he also talks about directly against God.
Yeah.
But he came out to one of God's songs, like where it was like never bet on God or not never bet on God, never bet against God or something like that. I don't know. But he came out to one of those songs that was, you know, the song that it goes like, he's done miracles on me by Kanye?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Probably because I gave a very, very poor example of that song. But anyway, you'll probably know what I'm talking about as soon as I show you after the podcast.
Okay.
But I'm sure the people on the podcast laughed and probably knew what I was talking about. But he came out to that again, and I just think it was cool how everything he does, he gives that glory.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how he is after that. He's very cocky, but it's difficult to understand that because we always talk about it. God judges us on our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in a space where he has to sell fights and he has to have that edge. And he's like a warrior. You know what I mean? He's literally going out there and doing very brutal things as well as receiving brutal punches and things like that. So you have to sell your fight. And just because you might seem cocky doesn't mean that you don't have God in your spirit and the spirit holding you accountable and allowing you to grow. You know what I mean? He's a competitor. It's like David and Goliath, like just because they fought doesn't mean they didn't have God at their side. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting to me to see where he goes from that. I'm excited to see. And again, I just love when people of influence or professional athletes give glory to God, or actors and things like that, like Matthew McConaughey and just some very big names always give glory to God. And to me, that is someone who I can look up to for mentorship and see how they can use their influence for good. Because, again, traditional Christians sometimes think that, okay, if you're famous or if you have a lot of money, God can't be on your side. And that's just not the case. And I love when people are outspoken about their faith, no matter how crazy people they think they are, or no matter the backlash you get. It doesn't matter. You know, you don't care about the judgment. You don't fear anybody but God. And that's the coolest thing. So I'm definitely excited to see what he does with that. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it. And we talked about this loosely, guys. This is our second take of the podcast. We didn't finish the first one. We were trying to get warmed up because of our quote unquote prep brain. We're not on prep for a show, but Heck and I have been very, very strict with our diet. And with dieting, you're in a calorie deficit. And in a calorie deficit, essentially your body is going to always crave more food because you're eating less than you burn. So essentially you're always craving fuel, right? And in that causes, one, feeling hungry all the time. Like me and Heck are sitting here right now, like, dang, bro, I can't wait for dinner. Two, we also are very tired a lot because our body, because we're not getting the food for fuel, we get tired easier. We need more sleep. We need more rest. Our muscles take a little bit longer to heal from working out. And prep brain causes us to be a little spacey sometimes. You can't speak our thoughts as clearly as we want to. We might stutter more. We might, like, for example, the podcast that you guys won't see, Heck got up to change the camera, and I just blanked, spaced out. So it's perfect timing for us to do a podcast. It's fantastic. But we are 30 days in officially. I know we spoke on this every week. So very loosely, how are you feeling? Like, how's your brain? I know, like you said, you've been struggling a little bit here and there, but yeah.
Well, I think 30 days is not necessarily a good way to explain what we've been doing, because it's less of the time, but more of the work that we're putting in that time. And we, as we've stated many times before in this podcast, we're very obsessive with what we do. And I believe that, truthfully, if you want to see progress in an area, you have to kind of get obsessed, you know? If you take things very lightly, your results are going to be light, to say the least. But when you really just lock in and focus, then you see changes fast, like really, really fast. And that's what I feel like we've been doing. But obviously, there is always a price to pay. It's never easy. It's never comfortable. But you have to be willing to live in that if you really want to see a difference in maybe your body composition, in your finances, in your spiritual life. You have to live, I feel like, in that place of discomfort. And right now, that's what we're doing. So yeah, we're hungry, but that's the price to pay. Yeah, we have a little bit of brain fog, but again, that's the price to pay. And we knew that coming into it, which is why, it might sound like we're complaining, but it's just like we knew this was going to be it. Right now, we're just living through it and fighting through it. But right now, it feels like we're just kind of, at least for me, it feels like I'm kind of just coasting. I'm trying to enjoy as much as I can these days. I feel like my favorite thing about this is I'm raising my standard of living. This is the life that I want to live. I don't want to just get to my goal and just completely revert back to my old ways and my old habits. I really want this to be, I feel like deep inside of me, it is a person, or lives a person, who really lives this way all the time. And this is what we were saying earlier, that right now I feel like my standards, or at least before this, my standards have been very low when it came to a lot of things. And that's how my whole life, in a way, had come to a point. But now I'm deciding to really raise my standards, and it's no longer going to be, I'm just going to go through this short burst of discipline. My standard is going to be discipline, and it's going to be excellence in everything that I do. So that's really where I want to be. And as much as we might sound like we complain or we are hungry, which we are, but as much as we might talk about all of that, we're doing this with a purpose and with a goal, and we're really laser focused in to what we're doing. So I mean, if you want, you can let everyone know what exactly have you been doing, so they know it's not just we're not just eating some chicken. Like, what exactly are you doing every single day to make sure that you hit your goal?
So when we go on these cuts, it's a lot more than just, okay, I got to eat less. You have to monitor the food you eat, the activity levels you have, the steps you take, the workouts, and things like that. So it's a complete lifestyle change. When you're bulking, you're eating excess calories. So some days you can get away with not eating as much or eating less protein or eating whatever. When you're in a cut, there's not too much room for mess ups because, again, you're in a deficit, which means you can't accidentally eat too many calories or you're not going to lose that weight. So the day to day, essentially for me, I eat 2,500 calories, and I'm actually about to drop it in a week to 2,200. So 2,500 calories. I try and get 10,000 steps every single day. Weights wise, I work out, I would say 5 to 6 times a week, probably catering towards 6 recently in this last month. Just kind of depends on, I guess, what's going on the weekends, as well as how my body feels. Sometimes I get really crazy workouts to the point where I'm sore and I have to take a day off. Sometimes I feel fantastic and I can run 6 days straight. Just kind of all depends on that. But the food intake, I need a lot of protein because protein will allow the muscles to stay full, allow us not to lose muscle while being in this deficit, as well as a even amount of carbs to help with just fuel and pumps, and then fat because obviously, if you're very low on fat, your body will just not feel right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's about playing this balancing act, but more importantly, you're constantly monitoring your levels. You're monitoring your weight, you're monitoring your energy, you're monitoring your training and how you feel while you're training and things like that. So it's a very big game of essentially judging yourself every single day and seeing what you can improve on. Okay, like I feel awful today, so maybe give myself a little bit of extra calories, a little bit more sleep, or maybe I should take a rest day. You know what I mean? So there's not one set thing that we're doing, but the through line is tracking our calories, tracking every single item that we eat, eating enough protein to maintain our muscle. Our training has been a little bit more catered towards a bodybuilding style, meaning hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is essentially breaking down the muscle fibers by essentially doing a little bit less weight, more volume, more reps, and really feeling that burn or that pump or whatever more, versus before we might be going for more weight and just essentially stacking it on and trying to gain weight, gain muscle, things like that. So it's a lot to it because you might think that sounds like a lot, obviously, and but that's just a portion of everything else we're doing in our daily life. So when you're tracking every single thing, there's a certain amount of efficiency that goes into, okay, I'm going to be at work at this time, so I need to find a meal that matches with my calories, that's not too high, that has protein, that I can eat while I'm at work. And also, I need to make sure I get up a little earlier so I can make and track my breakfast and dinner. You try and plan the times that you eat so that you're not too hungry in between. There's a million things to it, and that's why it goes to show that a lot of people can't lose weight because there's a lot to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's something that you have to get addicted to, like you said, borderline obsessed. Not borderline, to be fair, just obsessed. Yeah. And like you said, the goal is not even the goal, but what we're going to do is when we get to the spot of, okay, this is the end of the cut or whatever, doesn't mean we revert to the old habits. You stay focused, stay locked in on what we have right in front of us, and we just transfer that to the next goal.
Right.
I know you're on a little bit lower calories, so each individual person has different amount of calories that they can eat. I'm taller than heck. I guess I don't really know. Like, we never got our scans to see like muscle mass wise, but I'm taller than you, and a little bit weighing more than you. So obviously I can eat a little bit more and still be able to lose the calories. But what are you doing? I know obviously the calorie thing will be a little bit different, but you're eating the same. But in terms of your physical activity, what are you doing? Because every single person might enjoy a different activity and things like that. And I know you're a little bit different. You're a little bit more heavy on cardio. So let them know what you do, because if you're someone listening and you want to lose weight or you want to tone up, you want to get into better shape, there's not just one set way to do it.
Yeah,
People
no, for
typically
sure.
are biased to what they do because they think it's the best way, but it's just not. So, what do
Yeah.
you do every day?
So primarily, like you said, the focus is on calories. So I'm eating currently 2,000 calories a day. But the real secret, I feel like, is more in the training that I do, and more also in the movement that I do. I'm not just living a lazy lifestyle where, I'll go to the gym and then I'll get home and eat. I also have the goal of 10,000 steps a day. And I don't hit that unless I actively choose to go out and really spend that time walking, which is perfect because there's so much that I get done there. But besides that, right now, my goal is to hit 40 minutes on the Stairmaster 5 days a week. And also, for people who don't know, I'm watching my heart rate while I'm on the stairs constantly because I'm trying to stay in between 130 to 160 because that is when your body can easily break down fat and use it for energy, compared to when you go above that, when you're actually doing higher intensity stuff, your body immediately goes towards carbs because that's what's easiest to break down and the fastest fuel source you can get to. So I'm kind of in a way using myself as a test dummy to see, like, okay, does this really work? And I feel like I've been seeing some pretty good results already from it. But overall, I've taken a completely different approach because before, I feel like although my obsession was great, I would run until I hit a wall. And by that, I mean I would work out twice a day. Potentially, you've seen me where I've ran miles. Let's say I ran 7 miles today, and then I'll be at the gym at night,
Yeah.
probably within the 3 hour span, and it would just not work. I would have no energy at all, feel absolutely horrible. So right now, I feel like I'm in a point where I'm doing exactly what I need to do to maintain this lifestyle and be able to not have to stop or not have to put the foot off the gas. And what I've learned from all of that is I can apply that to every other goal that I have in my life. Instead of just purely sprinting towards one goal and trying to get the most out of everything, really trying to understand, okay, how much can I actually really do without burning myself out in 1 week or in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks. And with that being said, the stuff that I've been doing has allowed me to recover pretty much like great every single day, to the point where I'm excited to do it again every single other day.
The one thing I want to say to people listening, whether you're deep into fitness or you're starting or you want to start, every single person's body is different. And the fitness space is very plastered on social media now to the point where it's very easy to compare ourselves to those. I do it all the time still. I work on being better at that and being confident within myself. But you guys just heard Heck does 40 minutes of cardio every single day. I go on long walks, but in terms of heart rate training cardio, I probably do it twice a week, I would say. And I'm still losing weight. Every single person needs to do different things to get the results they want. We probably all have friends. I know I can think of a few people that I know that don't really train much and they barely eat. And they're like, I can't lose weight. The issue is because they barely eat, you would think that, oh, I'm not eating much so I can lose weight. But in reality, your activity levels are so low that the metabolism is so low and you can't lose weight.
Yeah.
But there could be someone who are eating so much more than you but can still lose weight because their activity levels are higher. So that's why you want to get into a good relationship with tracking your progress, tracking your weight if that's a goal of yours, because you might be heavier than you want, or you might be embarrassed that you're too light and you're too skinny, but you'll never know the progress you're making if you don't track that weight. For example, I'm losing weight still, so I haven't had to bump the cardio up. I haven't had to hop on the treadmill more, hop on whatever form of cardio I do because I'm still losing weight. But if I got to the point where I slow down, which I might be starting to slow down a little bit, then I can either drop the calories or bump the cardio or do both. So just monitor yourself as you're going through your fitness goals and just keep progression with that. Learn from yourself and do some research because you can probably eat more than you think and still lose the weight that you want to lose. As well as track the progress in, like you were saying, other goals. There's so many other things that we want to get done in life, and you can have a chief aim and a chief focus that you're working on getting better, as right now for both of us, it's fitness. But do the same thing. Take data on yourself and what you can do to be better every single thing that you do. some people don't care. Some people coast through life and they're like, no, I'm cool with what I do. But for the people who want to be the best in what they focus on, you have to do that. You have to keep track of yourself and what you are good at and what you're bad at and constantly progress. In terms of other goals, what are some outlandish goals that you feel like is something you want to do in life? What are some like bucket list goals or things that you want to do in your life that maybe you haven't even told me?
Right. Well, with everything that I do, everywhere that I'm heading in my life, or everything that I work for every single day, I have these massive goals that I want to achieve with everything. For example, one of my things is music, and my ultimate goal with that is to have concerts and to have people really come to my concert, I guess, and be able to see that just because the type of music that might sound like it's not Christian, it doesn't mean that the message isn't Christian. And I have a dream, bro, where before I get on stage or while I'm on stage, before I say anything, I get on my knees and I just say, guys, can you pray with me before the most hype thing starts ever? Just get on my knees and say, and just really give my thanks to God. Pray for everyone who's came out to the concert, and then just have like an unforgettable night. And that's my goal with music. With fitness, it really is to, like I told you, to live at a standard of just excellence. I don't want to no longer have to feel like I'm forcing a change in myself, because I want to be that person every single day that lives that way. I don't want to no longer just half live my life when it comes to any area, but fitness specifically is one of those things where you're in absolute control all of the time. You truly are. And if you're not where you want to be, it's truthfully your fault. That's how I feel like I have to look at it if I want to really see a change, because if I'm just allowing myself to be comfortable, I'm never going to progress. So to me, it's just to be in amazing shape, but I know that that's going to lead me into so many different things. And ultimately, I would love to get sponsored by a brand. Primarily, it would be amazing if it was a Christian brand, but just sponsored by a brand, because that would show me, okay, the work that I put in really has made waves, and it has truly seen effort. And then when it comes to my relationship with God, which is, I feel like, my third pillar, which the last one would be finances, financial freedom, to keep it simple. But with my relationship with God, I really want to be so close to God to the point where it almost feels like I can hear him, and I can really feel that presence every single place I go. And truthfully, I want to feel that presence so strong that I'm afraid to lose him. And I feel like I do feel that right now, but the fear of God, not necessarily being scared, I want to love God so much and be so close to him that I truly will be afraid to move anywhere else, because I know that this is better than anything else. So I know that, and it's cool because everything that I just told you, I'm taking steps, maybe not every day, but I'm taking steps constantly to get closer to those goals. So if I would have told you the same thing, these were still my goals 2 years ago. But if you would have looked at my life, you could have said, you know what, I don't see you progressing in anything. But now when it comes to everything, I feel like I've seen fruits of a lot of the different things that I just talked about. I've seen results in every single place. And I plan to just stay on that same path, bro, and just keep moving, taking steps every single day, to move closer to those goals that I have. So what about you?
So I'll start with my faith, because I'm very similar to what I'd really love to accomplish in my faith. I want us to think, at least for those who have a relationship with their parents, where if you're in a tough spot and you feel comfortable enough to tell a parent or a friend or whoever that person you look up to is, if you're in a bad spot, you can go to that person no matter what, and they're going to be there to help. That's what I want my relationship with God to be, where he's always there. I want him to always be there. And I know he's always there, but I want the confidence in myself to believe that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I realized that, I spoke on this before, but I'd say really the last 4 months, I haven't been lukewarm. I've been in the Bible. I've been reading all the time. I've been actually properly educating myself. But I'm not at the point yet where I've done it every day. I've missed days and they've slipped my mind. And I don't ever want to be in a position where it slips my mind just out of forgetting. And I had to be honest with myself, because I'm like, yeah, like I'm really on the track. I'm really on the track. But no, I want to make that a priority every single day to where it would be the point of like necessity. I need that every single day. So in
Yeah.
terms of my faith, I want to make sure that that's a priority where, again, that fear of losing God is so prominent in my life that he's always there. And we know we've had times in our lives where we felt very, very close with God and then times where we shied away from him. And I would love for my life to be a through line with feeling like God is that close and that he's holding my hand constantly and he is guiding me in his direction that he knows is right for me. So in terms of my faith, that is very important. Going into, I guess you could say, like career and just like overall goals as an entrepreneur, the first thing is this podcast. I feel like God blessed our tongue from a younger age, being earlier and being able to learn quickly and to slowly become wise, I guess, beyond our years. I have these images when I close my mind and close my eyes, that I see us reaching the masses more than I can even imagine right now. And being able to tour to people and do shows where we can interact with those and speak on people and pray over people and just not only bring people closer to God, but allow people to feel more confident and comfortable within themselves, essentially giving someone a better day. And that's the reason we started this podcast. I wouldn't have started this podcast from a very blank reason. I had to have a reason to do it because if I'm going to delegate time to something in life, I need to make sure that I have belief in that. And I've had belief in ourselves and our conversations. And I feel like we've had so many deep, meaningful conversations that could help other people, let alone helping ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
And I just want to be in a position to where God obviously will give the audience that he feels is best fit. But I want to be there to service those people and to be able to help those and give people time. I feel like my definiteness of purpose is to give. And it's not money, but it's everything. You know, if I can help people out financially, I can do that. If I can help people out with wisdom and knowledge or help them get through a tough time or give them time, give them my energy, give them opportunity or anything like that, I feel like that's what I felt called to do my entire life. And through this podcast, I know we can do that.
Yeah.
And whatever he has planned for us, regardless if it's a constant online thing and we just grow our audience slow, whether one podcast blows up and all of a sudden we go from 100 people watching a week to thousands, millions, or whatever he has planned for us, I'm excited. But I know that something in this podcast is going to change lives. And I want to be able to be the messenger for God's voice through the podcast. Fitness-wise, I want to be a competitor. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I kind of came to the realization through studying Navy SEALs that I have that desire to be a bad MFer. I want to be able to tap into my competitive side that I used to have when playing sports. And I slowly am realizing this as I'm becoming more and more disciplined as we're going through this last 30 days of this cut, that I don't want to just have this empty view of, okay, it's summer coming up. I want to look good for summer so that I'm confident in myself. I want to compete. I don't know if it comes down to stepping on stage as a bodybuilder, as a natural bodybuilder. I'm never obviously going to take gear, but competing in natural shows, if my focus would shift to becoming a dual athlete where I do bodybuilding, but I also do running. But at some place in terms of my physical health and fitness, I want to compete. I want to have that competitive nature come back for me because that's something that I always have enjoyed. I'm a very competitive person, regardless if I'm playing video games, sports, or anything. So I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. I would love to at least once in my life step on stage, not even to win, but just to get out there and compete. I think that would be really cool. And then financial. I just want to be in a position where money's not a problem so that I can live a life not focusing on that. I feel like right now there's always that thought in the back of my head, like, okay, I need to provide. I need to make more money. I need to work more to make money. And unfortunately, I don't want that to be my focus, right? But it is. I don't want to have to worry about money because life is so much more important than that.
Right. Yeah.
But if you have to focus on money, because sometimes we have to make sure we can put our head down and grind to make money so that we can pay our bills and take care of things and take care of the people that we love. And I want to be in a position through trading and through social media, ideally, that I can have the financial abundance to not worry about how much I make. Everything's taken care of. Now I can focus on the impact and have the time freedom to focus on the impact that I make. So again, it's like that pillar that you talked about, the 3 pillars of life when it comes down to fitness, financial, and then really like family.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I mean, that's really some of the biggest goals I have. I have some bucket list items that don't necessarily are that deep. One of them, obviously, like I just said, stepping on stage, I think would be really cool. I want to go skydiving.
Yeah.
I want to run a marathon. I don't really have a desire to run an ultra. I feel like once I run a marathon or a half marathon, I feel like it'll go up from there.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think the first time even if I ran a 5K, which is like 3.1 or 3.11 miles, I think I would run that and then instantly catch the bug and be like, okay, now I want to run a half marathon.
Yeah.
Now I want to run, or a 10K. Now I want to run a half and then a full marathon. And then after a full marathon, why not run a 40-mile race?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like those are things that I want to do, but those are also things that I know I need to be able to give it my all, and I don't have the time that I want now to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have 3 extra hours to go on long runs every single day. So it's just about finding a good balance, but not in terms of even balance, you know? Focusing on one thing, getting really good at that, setting the new standard, and then raising everything up, raising the bar in every single pillar in our lives so that it stays even, but very high. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. It feels like the way that we approach life is more of a divide and conquer type of mindset when it comes to our goals. And truthfully, I feel like I haven't really seen crazy success until I focus primarily on one thing at a time. Then once I have that set, then I'll move on to the next one. Then once I have that at a good place, I'll move on to the next one. But at the end of the day, I feel like what we're saying is we have these talents or gifts or skills that we've been given by God, and we're trying to truthfully have those seeds flourish into their greatest possibility and really find out what our full potential is. And it reminds me of a parable in the Bible where essentially there was a master who gave seeds, or in this case, let's just say money, to 3 different servants. For example, let's say he gave $1 to one servant, 5 to another, and 10 to the last one. He let them go on their way and then came back after some time. And this was the cool part. He asked each one of them what they had done with what he'd given them. For the one who, let's say he gave $10, multiplied it, gave back 50. He said, look, this is what I did. And the master said, great job, you did good. Then for the one who gave $5, he multiplied it. Let's say he made it to 20. Same thing, great job, you did good. But the last one who he gave $1 to, what he did was he hid the dollar. He said, you know what, master, you only gave me 1. So I came and I protected it for you. I hid it for you. Here it is back. And in the story, that is the one who actually did the wrong thing, because it really just showed that from what he had been given, he had no faith that he could multiply it. And God put us on this earth to multiply, not just as people, but our talents and our skills. He gave us everything that he's given us so that we could really maximize their potential. And that's where I feel like a lot of people are maybe not falling short, because even we're nowhere close to where we want to be. But we understand that full-heartedly, that we've been given these talents or skills or seeds. And if you do not plant them, then nothing is ever going to happen. But also I want to point out that in that story, what the master said was, I gave talents to these people according to how much they can handle. He didn't love the person who he gave $10 to more than he loved the one who he gave $1 to, but he knew their hearts. He knew how much he could handle. And he said, you know what, here's what you have, do something with it. And that was the cool thing about all that. But with all that being said, we have a lot of potential in our lives. The human potential is absolutely limitless, which is why it excites me to just think big and to not limit myself when it comes to my goals. I know the things that we just talked about sound crazy, and we're nowhere close to achieving a lot of them, but it's so amazing to just know that when you have God on your side, bro, anything is possible. Anything, any dream that you have, God knows your heart, but you have to put in that work. You have to plant that seed, water it, and more importantly, just be patient, super patient.
The most beautiful thing about that story, relation to our lives and everyone listening, is God already gave us those seeds. You might have been blessed in a situation where you want to create business and you've grown up in a family who has already created a business. So you have more seeds, and all you have to go out and do the work. Or you could be someone who wants to create a business and you know absolutely nobody who has ever created a business. So you have a little bit more to do and you don't have as many references, but you still have your seeds, and it's about what you go out and do with those. So stop looking for God's blessings. He's already given us them. It's about what you do with what you have. If you guys have a goal in life or that vision, if you can close your eyes, like we just talked about, we have things that we want to accomplish. There are the seeds right there.
Right.
God has given us that vision. He's been like, okay, you want to step on stage. If you do the work and you actually use that vision that I've given you to do the things that you need to do to step on stage, you will. He said, Steve, you know how to do a podcast. You know how to edit. You have been blessed with the tongue to be able to speak to people. You have the opportunity to do that. Now go out and do it. But I think so many people sit around waiting for the blessings that God's already given us. And they miss out on the fact that it's not like randomly one day someone's going to be like, hey, you don't have a podcast, but you'd be great for podcasting. Here's a contract for $1 million to do a podcast. We're like, whoa, no, you have to put the work in and do the things now with the seeds that God has already given us. Regardless if you have everything going for you or hardly anything going for you. You have the opportunity, regardless if it's just the vision or you have people to help you, you still have a certain amount of seeds that you can go out and plant. But stop dragging your feet because life is very short. And I think through losing people, we see that, or through losing friendships, even if someone doesn't actually physically pass away, life is short.
Yeah.
Why sell yourself short when life is short? Why stay stuck in that comfortability or that stagnancy? Or why sit there and look for a blessing that's in your lap already? If you're constantly looking up and looking for the next best thing, you're going to stumble over your own feet when something and the blessing is right below you. And that's the most important thing I think people don't understand is that those seeds that you talked about in the parable have already been given to us. Now, yes, we might be blessed with more seeds as we continue to progress, but we have everything that we need to start that road traveled ahead of us right now.
Right.
There's nothing that we are waiting for that's holding us back from what we just said. You know how to make your music. You know what you're doing. You know how to create content for your music. You know how to do social media to promote your music. Now it's just time to put the work in and do that. We know how to shoot the podcast. We both know how to edit. We know how to post clips. We have social media created. It's time to continue to do that and be focused and do what we have to do to see the results that we want. It's the same exact thing. We are very, very educated on our nutrition and our fitness. All we have to do is put the effort in and we're going to see that. It's the same thing with every single thing that we want to do in our lives. So if you're listening and you're motivated and you have something you want to do in your life, go out and do the research on how you can get started and start now. Stop waiting. Stop pushing things off. Stop waiting for someone to come in and hand you a golden ticket.
No one's coming.
That's not how that works. No one's
coming.
ever coming. And you're going to look back, all of a sudden you're going to be older and you're going to be like, wow, I failed. But you didn't fail. You didn't even start.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll save you some time and say no one's coming. No one's coming to help you, truthfully. No one's coming to give you that edge that you want. You have to be you have to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. And a lot of the times that uncomfortability is always at the start where you're struggling to make sense of things. You're struggling to see that things are actually going to work, but it's in that time. That's when you're planting the seeds, and you have to have the vision of the tree that you want to grow. But that's, I feel like, really important for people to know. What really helped me, or I feel like what's helped us, is we have the vision of who we want to be already. That's what these goals that we've explained basically are. It's the vision of who we want to be. We know what it looks like to have a life that we want. Now we just think, okay, what can I do every single day to progress towards that? Because yes, right now we might be sprinting towards some of our goals, but at the end of the day, all we're really doing is taking a goal that we have in our mind, and we're asking ourselves, how do I get closer to this today? Tomorrow doesn't matter. Yesterday doesn't matter because it already happened. What can I do today to progress? And if you do that every single day, you're going to see yourself truthfully just progress in crazy ways. It may not matter what you do right now, what you do today, or what you do in the next 30 days. But if you do these same things for the next 3 years, 5 years, you're going to be in a position where you will truthfully see the vision that you had for yourself just come to life. And that's the amazing thing about this. It's like what you plant, you harvest every single time. It may not be just the talents, but even your thoughts. If you constantly tell yourself, if you're constantly thinking negative, planting those negative seeds of thought in your brain, you're going to receive those, sow those seeds every single time, and you're going to look at life very negatively. But if you're always planting seeds positively and say, you know what, this is gonna turn out great. If I don't make it, then I'm gonna keep working and I'm gonna find something else. You're just gonna keep harvesting those good things. So I think it's very good just for people to be aware of that everything that we do has a cause and effect.
The beauty behind all of that is the journey, not the end result. I want my life to be like a false summit. You know what a false summit is?
No.
So a false summit essentially is if you ever gone on a hike and you go up and you think you reach the top of the mountain, but then you get there and there's like a slight flat area and then you look up and you're like, damn, son, like there's a whole lot of more mountain to go. That's how life should be. You should never get to the top because then the only way to go is down.
Yeah.
I want my life to be like a false summit because every single time during the journey, I'm climbing and climbing and climbing and growing and maturing and getting better and getting more wise, learning more about myself, becoming more efficient. And then boom, I make a monumental goal happen. I don't just stop. I don't turn around and be like, okay, I reached the top, time to go down. No, it's time to double down. Okay, what's next? What can I focus on? How can I become more efficient? What can I do now to see more success? That's how I want my life to be. I don't want to be like, okay, once I get financial abundance and success, I'm cool. I'm retiring. I don't want to retire. What do you mean? Everyone's like retired young. What do you mean? What? I don't want to go out and party. I want to seek success, seek growth,
always look for
seek
more.
challenge, see what I can do to push the limits in my life and to grow and to become more mature in terms of just the suck and the grind and what can I do to become a better version of myself. So life being a false summit essentially is set your sight on something, grow as you climb that mountain. And once you get there, what's next? What can I chase after next? And what goal can I hit next? Okay, perfect. I hit that one. Cool. What's something else that I can do? I think the issue a lot of people have is they find one goal, they achieve it, and then again, they get complacent.
They get comfortable.
And we've done that plenty of times.
For sure.
And it's a constant thing. And you don't even become aware of it until you have to have that talk with yourself. A lot of people have this big goal. Oh, I want a job that pays more money. Oh, I want a promotion. Oh, I want to compete in a bodybuilding contest. I want to run a marathon. I want to run a 5K, whatever the case is. You complete it, and then now what? Then they regress on everything.
Right.
And that's the issue. That's why we want the false summit. We want to get up there and progress. We do it. Okay, cool. Now, so that we don't fall down the mountain, what's next? What can I grow on more? Where can I modify myself to become the most efficient version of myself? I told you, 6 hours of sleep a night. That's it. Sounds crazy, but to me, that's good.
Yeah.
Usually I get 6 hours of sleep a night, waking up 4 or 5 times. I realized to be the most efficient version of myself, I had to take a big look out. And I said, I can't fit everything into 24 hours. I don't have time. I don't want to sacrifice making work. I don't want to sacrifice work because I need the financial abundance to get ahead, work on investments, and do all the things, buy more equipment for the podcast, all this stuff, right? So I can't sacrifice work. All right, what's next? I don't want to sacrifice, my nutrition. So I'm going to still spend the money that I need to get the proper food for my nutrition. I'm not sacrificing my time in the gym. I care too much about that. And that molds my mind beyond whatever I can explain. I'm obviously not going to sacrifice any of my faith. Okay, well, the only thing I have left is my sleep.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, I guess I have my free time, but I care too much about my relationship to do that. I know how I am. I know I'm a very obsessive person. I'm sure you're the same. And I guess I can teach you through what I've learned.
Yeah.
It's okay to be an obsessive person in a relationship. Your significant other will understand that, or they're not right for you. Braden has slowly wrapped her head around that. I wasn't like this when we first started dating. Deep down, I was like this,
Yeah.
but I didn't take action on it. But now I know that she is so good with us recording this podcast and me pretty much not being home all day Tuesdays, except for when we film, and being gone and working long hours. She wakes up and I'm never home because I'm always working. She's so good with that. I can't sacrifice any of the time I do get with her. I can't take that for granted because that's the love of my life, and I wouldn't be here without her. So obviously, in terms of you, as you grow and as you get to the point when you have your next relationship and you find your future baby mamas and your wife, understand that don't sacrifice that time. When you have that time with that person will know you for who you are. They'll completely support you in what you're doing. So don't allow that to become the sacrifice. Right. So for me, I knew, okay, that and my faith, non-negotiable. If I got to take a day off the gym, it's not the end of the world. If I got to stop working a little bit and sacrifice a little money. It's not the end of the world. But those two, I cannot negotiate that. And I realized that, okay, I'm trying to get 7-8 hours. And I don't know if this is going to sound dumb, and you can give me your take on this, because I had this kind of realization in the car. I stress myself out a lot at the end of the night when I know I wake up at 6 and I look at the clock and I know I can't get 8 hours of sleep. And I feel like if I'm going to bed stressing the fact that I'm not going to get enough sleep, I feel like my body can't fully like relax and get into that. My brain is very short in terms of I wake up, it's going instantly. You've seen it before when you've crashed at my place. Like, you'll like get up and I'll be like, huh, what? And I'm like ready to go instantly. I think that if I can have a better relationship with sleep in my own mind, it can allow me to fully unplug when I do go to sleep. So I almost feel like instead of being stressed that, oh, I can't get 8 hours, me coming to terms with the fact that, okay, I'm going to at least get sleep from 12 to 6 every night. And if I get more, it's awesome. Does that make sense? Do you think that I'm like kind of out of my mind when I say that? Because I feel like I stress a lot in terms of sleep, where if I like look and I like, oh, I got to go to bed now. And then I try and force myself to go to sleep because I'm like, I could get 7.5 hours right now. And then I think about it way too much. And then I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, damn, I need to be asleep. I should be resting.
Mm-hmm.
And it just stems from not having good sleep patterns in the past. But I think if I have a much more flexible in terms of like, I can go to bed at 12. I don't go to bed at 12, but I need to be in bed by 12. I need to be up by 6. And the goal essentially is to take care of it to the point where I never wake up. I get 6 hours straight without waking up a single time. What do you think about that? It sounds a little crazy.
Well, yeah, but I feel like you know yourself better than anyone. You know what you can handle, and that's why when it comes to these goals, like it's not just something that you're starting now, and it's just like throwing a dart at a board blind. You know what's worked for you in the past. You know what hasn't, and this to you makes sense. So I feel like you know what you're doing in a way. You know yourself better than I know you, and you know your body better than anyone does. So if you understand that this is what it takes, that potentially there will be a sacrifice, but like we were talking about in the beginning, you're obsessing over these things, you're progressing towards these goals. If you know you can handle that, then you can handle that. And everything else is just constantly going to be okay, what can I change here? What little thing can I change here? While we find our quote unquote perfect daily routines or our structures to our day, we're just going to constantly tweak it. And it's not going to be the same as it is now as it will a couple of months from now. It could be completely different. But that is our goal, is to constantly just look at and make these small little changes that are going to allow us to get better and move forward and progress more every single day. So what my ultimate take on it is, if you feel like this is what's best for you right now, and the most important part is right now, then do it. But then also when that right now turns into, you know what, this was the best for me back then, but not anymore, that's when shift it, and move it.
Yeah, because I'm very well aware of how important sleep is with what we do. Essentially, we're bodybuilders who don't compete. Yeah. We take care of our body. We train like bodybuilders. Yeah. We eat like bodybuilders. We just don't compete. We don't get that lean to the point where we're dry. We can step on stage and compete and things like that. We don't take gear. We're very natural. So it's not like we look like insane in terms of just overall, but we look good for being natural.
Right.
I know it's very important. And I know my body at this point could probably sleep 9 hours a night, no problem, even if I wake up a few times, because my body probably needs it. But I think the most important thing that I've had a bad relationship is letting my mind unplug. I always feel like there's more I can do. If I go to bed tonight, even though I won't probably get home till 11, after 11, 12, whatever, I know that I could edit a little bit. I could do this a little bit. I could do that a little bit. But if I have a set in stone mindset, and that's what I think the difference is. When I go into something with a set in stone mindset, there's no, oh, should I do that? Sometimes I go to bed with an alarm set at 5:45, and I'm like, okay, I need to wake up at 5:45, but I'll have a reserve alarm in case I don't want to. As soon as I do that, I lose. I've only gotten up once since I've done that. But when I have a set in stone thing and I go in with the proper mindset, I know that I'm going to see success. When I got up at 4:30 a.m. to run, that was my only alarm. I was beat if I slept past that. So when that alarm went off, I was like, all right, I got to get up, roll out of bed, focus on it. So knowing to myself, okay, I need to be asleep, not in bed, asleep by 12, and I need to be up by 6. Now there's no room for mess ups. Doesn't matter where I'm at. I have to be asleep by 12. I need to be up by 6. It does not matter if I have work or not. That's what I'm focusing on. And I think that for me is going to allow my brain and my body to have that unplugged time to where I'm not stressed on other things. It's built in. I think that's something that I always struggled with sleep. It's like, hey, you could be doing more versus, no, this is built in. This is what you need to be doing right now. Does that make sense? I feel like I always think I could be doing more, but changing the mindset on how I view it completely changes it. Sometimes Braden and I go on these late night walks because she has to get her second workout in for 75 hard. And I'll be looking at the clock like, damn, I know she needs to go on this walk. I want to go on this walk with her to support her. But if we stop the walk right now, I wouldn't even get 8 hours, let alone in 30 minutes when the walk's done.
Right.
So I just think it's a better habit and better relationship with my own mind. So just knowing your own mind, I think, like you said, was perfect, is just being able to know it. And again, I'll quickly realize after a week or two of doing it if, okay, like I really do need the sleep. It's not even like a mindset thing. It's a body thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, I'm excited for what we have planned, for what we have going on. I urge people listening to just challenge yourself. Whatever you have held yourself back from doing, whatever God has called you to do or you feel like he's called you to do and you aren't doing, go after it. Yeah. Chase after that and work hard and become the best at that because I know you guys will do amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to wrap the podcast up before we close it off?
I really just want to tell people, stop selling yourself short, like believe in yourself, truthfully. Like every single one of us, our potential is limitless. You really can be anything you want to be, but you have to believe that first. And a lot of the times, if not almost every single time, we're not getting closer to our goals because we're lazy, we're unmotivated, and we're not disciplined. Like you have to get yourself to really have a real talk with yourself and ask yourself, what more can I do? Most of the time it's going to be, I can do so much more. And to people, I really just want to be real with them, bro. I just want to say, look, you can have whatever you want, but you cannot get there unless you change who you are. You cannot get there unless you get uncomfortable, unless you really want it so bad that everything else doesn't even matter anymore, And I truthfully feel like you will change when it hurts more to be who you are than it does to change who you are. So I don't want to, just have this happy, you got this type of talk with people. Yeah. I want everyone in our audience to know everything that you want is up for grabs. Just because someone might be in that position, it doesn't mean that you can't be there. Success is for everyone, but you will get absolutely everything that you put into life. You will get out exactly what you plant. And that's our whole point of this this podcast is let people know if you don't plant your seeds, you're never going to see that harvest. If you don't water your seeds, even if you plant them, you're never going to see that harvest. And if you're not patient while you're watering your seeds, it's a process, bro. It's a process. But at the end of the day, it's all there if you have faith.
God made the days in 24-hour increments. Use them proportionally. Don't be so focused on tomorrow. Don't be so focused on the stressors of tomorrow that you cause yourself to not focus on the things that you can do today to become that person you always wanted to be. The most important thing is being a man of your word, being a woman of your word, doing the things that you feel like you've been called to do, regardless of how uncomfortable it makes you. So that is the end of episode 8. Thank you guys again for listening, watching, viewing, subscribing. You guys are amazing. Again, we did not stop after episode 7. I actually refined the search today. It was 90% of podcasts fail after the first 3. And then out of the 10% that make it past 3, only 10% get past the 20th episode. So if we are here on the 21st episode, we did it. So anyway, thank you guys again for watching. Guys, drop a comment below if you guys want us to talk about something in particular, whether it be our faith in Christianity, whether it be any questions that you have about fitness or mental toughness or anything like that. But again, thank you guys for checking it out today. We really appreciate you guys. We really do enjoy this. I feel like we're a lot more warmed up this second take around. But guys, enjoy your week. Go after what you want to accomplish because tomorrow is not guaranteed. We out.
Peace.